Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions. We've got another Stoke City vlogcast. With me as always is Jan. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I hope you're all okay out there and you enjoyed the game last night.
Well, to be honest, last night was a bit like waterboarding, and I don't know many people who enjoy that. I know I wouldn't fancy it, so I'm sort of glad I couldn't attend last night. But it does, it still sticks in the throat, doesn't it?
Yeah, we watched it on television and to be honest, it was like watching paint dry. I was so bored. I was doing things in between and keeping an eye on the match, but it was just boring.
I mean, for all these criticisms that Gary Rowett's receiving right now as we speak, I think one of the criticisms is that he's boring. And some of the criticisms remind me of when Tony Pulis' time at Stoke in the second spell was coming to an end. And the only thing I've got to sort of compare the two is that Rowett's football is different to Pulis's. Yes, they're both bad at the moment, at least as far as they were at the specific points. But I think with Tony, his football was long ball, whereas I think with Rowett, he's trying to play a way that just isn't actually working.
Well, to be honest, I don't know what he's trying to play. I'm at a loss with him, really. And what I don't get is, okay, Etebo is injured, but you've got Bojan there, who, in my opinion, has been playing quite well when he's been on. And he goes and changes the team again. And I can't understand him.
I think Bojan didn't have an effective game from the start against Birmingham. I think that might have affected his decision making. But for me, it was a poor decision just for the fact that if he had been available, I suspect Etebo would have played in this game. Now, the next best player to Etebo in the lineup for me is Bojan. So he should have stuck with the team from Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, surely it's better to keep the same team to try and get some continuity with it and not keep changing.
What irritated me is it's also a bit like Rowett was trying to respond to fan criticism in the sense that over those 48 or 72 hours that between the Birmingham results and the start of the Sheffield game, a lot of fans on Twitter and that I was just reading, they were all saying we need two up front. Afobe's got no support. So he tries that. He puts Berahino behind him. He puts two wide men, and it was completely the wrong game to do that because they got three at the back, quite a packed midfield, and two up front themselves. So it just didn't make sense to go and try and do something like that when we needed to have more players in the middle.
Yeah, and I also noticed last night that Eka was crossing a lot of balls, which is pointless really, because he can't cross his fingers, never mind the ball. And he's the wrong person to be putting crosses in.
Well, the thing is as well, we've got two of them on that wing because McLean's not as good as either.
No, he isn't.
I mean, I go back to it. I know he had a good game when he came back against Norwich, and I think he had one before he got his injury as well. I think that was against Hull. But I still don't see what McLean's specialty is. It's like with Inch, you can sort of say, well, okay, maybe he'll just drop off here, but he scores goals. Yeah, there isn't anything like that with McLean. Maybe you can't criticise his work ethic, but that doesn't really do much.
He runs a lot.
Yeah, but we've got one of them in Joe Allen.
He runs a lot, but doesn't do a lot with it.
And I
think that's what you're trying to say, really.
Exactly. I mean, I'm bringing Joe into it because even though he scored the goal last night,
he didn't do a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think I saw him put in a good tackle or anything of note.
No.
It was just the game really passed the players by. I just don't know how we got that point. I mean, Sheffield United must really be rubbing their hands together and wondering why they have only got
they
one.
could have got another 3, couldn't they?
Well, yeah, the 3 points,
if not more. Because they were on target more than what Stoke were.
I mean, they had chances with open goals and missed, so, I completely know what you mean.
I mean, and straight after half-time, they give away 2 corners straight away again.
I mean, that's just the worst thing for us.
Yeah.
I mean, even the commentators were pointing it out on the Sky broadcast, the fact that for Williams and Martins Indy are big centre-halves, yet they don't win headers.
No. I mean, they got nowhere last night. It was just criminal to watch them.
It's bad, right? That I'm just sitting here recording this, and a little bit of me then said, I wonder if Rob Booth could still do a job.
Of course he could.
You know, and the thing is, right, I've heard that people say, oh, he's probably looking for a move to the MLS, or he could even be on the verge of retirement. But I can't help but look and think, that's what we actually need right now. Someone who can say, right, I'm putting my head on that. Because we aren't winning the first balls and we aren't winning the second balls, so it just means that all football teams have got to do is just hoof it up and win the knockdowns.
Yeah. I mean, Rob Booth and Ryan, to me, were an ace partnership. You know, I felt safe when them two were there, and I'd love nothing more to see Hootie back in.
Yeah, I mean, I would myself, but the trouble is, I sort of know where these people are coming from, that I think the injury picked up at Leicester has sort of taken the best years of his career from him.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming he have, because if not, why hasn't he had a contract somewhere? But I'm sort of going off into the Rob Booth show here. But it is frustrating because it's highly becoming a priority that in the January window we get a centre-half who is 10 times more commanding than what we've got.
Yeah, we've got to do something. That's the top and bottom of it. And, you know, surely Gary Rowett can see it.
I mean,
if he can't, then...
For me, it's like we've got a game against Bristol City and then we've got one against Middlesbrough. And those two clubs have both had one of the best centre-halves in the league, in my opinion, Aidan Flint. Now, I can't help but look at that and think, why didn't we go in for him? It really is getting to me, because even if we thought Shawcross, Martins, Indy would be enough, why didn't we go and get that strong centre-half just to compete with them?
I even wrote on his Twitter page. I said, come and join the Flints.
I mean, I'm clapping my hands in frustration here, because it's like, we're after James Chester. Now, I'm not criticising Chester as a player, but I didn't think he was what we needed, in the sense that he's not exactly a tall, commanding centre-half. I know he could probably win headers like Mark Muniesa did, but I felt like we needed someone who could actually organise the box a bit as well. I mean, just look at Aidan. I don't think you saw the game for Middlesbrough against, I think it was Sheffield Wednesday. He was commanding in that box. You know, I think that was the big reason they got the result there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so frustrating, because you can see players who could really improve your team, and we just let them go to a rival.
Yeah, I mean, I said months ago we should go in for Aidan Flint, even before the market, he come available on the market. You know, I just saw the quality in him. I said, we should get him.
The trouble is now, there aren't a lot of similar type players out there, at least ones that other clubs would be okay with letting go. I mean, the trouble is, say for example, and I'm looking at the opposition this week, this weekend, we've got Nathan Baker, for example, in the Bristol City lineup. I can't help but look and think, right, supposing that was someone we were interested in, I'm not particularly saying we are, but whatever. Say we were interested in him, Bristol City could probably add a zero at the end of his price tag, just because they think they need a defender.
Yeah.
You know, and it just makes the whole situation worse, because how our club is, we just don't overpay for players.
No.
Even if we are in such a mess as we are, they won't overpay.
No, people know that we are desperate, because they can obviously see our defence, what a load of rubbish we are. And they're all going to hike the prices up.
I mean, even if we go abroad, we're going to have a similar issue, just in the sense that, yes, we might get them a little bit cheaper, but we've got no guarantee that they'll be any good.
No.
Oh, you know, I'm saying it like that because, you know, even if we go to, say, someone who's doing well at the bottom of the Bundesliga, but, you know, could make a step up, there's still no guarantee. We could end up with another Philip Volscheid who may sort of flatter to deceive, you know.
Yeah. I mean, when he first came, I thought he was going to be all right for us. Big lad. And just didn't work out.
No.
You know, so they've got to look carefully at who they're going to have and not just get to the first person they see, because I think this is what they're doing. You know, I don't think they're taking enough care in who they're buying.
I've got to agree there. I mean, this is where I do believe Gary Rowett deserves criticism, because he brought in players who he wanted. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
People can point at Scholes, they can point at Mark Cartwright, but in my opinion, Gary Rowett was the man behind the transfers.
Yeah.
The only one I don't think he signed off on was Etebo, and that was just because they sort of okayed it before he signed the dotted line.
Yeah.
But the rest of them were his players.
Yeah.
So I just don't get all the anger in that direction when Rowett is the one to blame in this instance.
Yeah.
When you've got players like Williams, Martina, McLean in the first 11 but not performing well week on week.
Yeah. I mean, when he first came, I thought Rowett was going to be a really good manager. I honestly did. I thought, I think we could go somewhere with him. But I'm losing confidence every week that goes by.
I mean, the only thing that's giving me some hope, if you like, is that yes, he's not exactly proven himself, but equally I think it's just a case of he should let the recruitment team do more of the recruitment work now.
Yeah.
Don't bring players in he wants, just listen to the players he's suggested.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way you can actually rescue this situation, because if he keeps trying to pull names out of the hat like James McLean, and I'm picking on him a little, but again, I'm just not seeing the fuss over him.
Yeah. I'm not myself, so.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him thinking, if the transfer team that we've got at the club, who Peter Coates said there was no problem with, which I still don't believe, but still, then he's got to trust them, at least for now, and just take ideas off who they suggest.
Yeah. Something's got to be done, and it's got to be done pretty quickly, because we're going to end up staying down this end of the table. Okay, there isn't a lot between where we are and the top, I know that, but sooner or later the divide is going to become much bigger, and we're not going to be able to get out of it. And if we do it now, start now, all the better. We can't just leave it until the last 5-6 games of the season.
Oh, it'd certainly match how we're playing games at the moment, leaving it to the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've done that in previous years, and we just can't do it.
What's getting me is I feel like we've got a club full of complacent players, in the sense that it's as if we finished 9th, and then the season after we finished 13th in the Premier League, and it's as if those players who finished 13th went, okay, that was just a slip year, we just dropped our standards, we'll be alright. And then the year after we get relegated, and it's like, okay, we just had a bad season, it's, we'll just get back promoted and we'll be back up there again. And it's as if none of them have actually realised, you know what, my level's dropped. I need to really perform better.
I mean, I'm wondering myself whether there is some, with Gary Rowett, with the players, whether they don't like him or they don't like what he's doing.
I'm not sure I agree there.
No, I'm trying to...
Yeah,
just anything,
you're thinking about it in the sense that the only reason I disagree there is because we've had comebacks under him. There does seem to be a willingness to fight for a result once we go down, which I can't say I saw a lot under previous managers, Lambert, Hughes, whoever.
Yeah.
So it is as if there is more of a fight in us. Yet it's such a strange way that we're doing it. It's as if that fight doesn't appear until the backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, what is stopping them from fighting like that from the off? I mean, I'm at a loss to try and explain that.
Well, I'm at a loss what's happening. I really am. Because, again, I don't think they're playing as a team. They're playing as individuals again.
I agree there,
And it's not on. They are a team. And it's as if they're playing with who they like. They're passing to the player that they like, you know what I mean? And not to a player that they don't like or they don't have as much to do with. I know it sounds stupid, but that's how it's coming across.
I think the best way to describe it is Ryan Woods, in that the last 2 games he's had his worst games for the club, and it's as if in both of them he's decided to go and join the centre-halves in defence. And it doesn't make sense in that... I don't know if he's trying to up his own personal possession stats or something to try and make it look as on paper that he's having an influence. But he's just not affecting the game from those sort of positions. And if anything, he needs to be pushing the team up.
Yeah. I saw none of that last night.
No, I mean, if anything, when I did see Woods on the ball or affecting the ball, it was not exactly doing anything with it either.
No.
You know, I wouldn't say his passing was that crisp, or, you know, I can't really say any of the midfield was. But I think that was, again, a disadvantage of having a midfield too, because both him and Allen were sort of all over the place, just trying to keep hold of what United's midfield and attack.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, Sheffield United weren't that good last night. They were good, but they weren't excelling.
Yeah,
but Stoke made them look good.
Yeah, I agree there, actually, because I think that was what was getting me then. You were saying it like that, and I thought, well, okay, I agree, because they didn't have to get out of third gear, really.
No.
They could afford to just cruise, you know, and this is the irritating bit. I remember that game against Bolton, and what really impressed me that day, or that night, was the fact that we pressed. We pressed like our lives depended on it. You know, you got Ince, Afobe, every player went and tried to put pressure on that ball. Now, yes, Bolton aren't the best team in the league for, you know, playing possession football, but it doesn't mean you only press those sort of teams. Press every single team.
Yeah. Well, they've got to, or else they'll find themselves at the bottom, holding everybody else up. And once they're at the bottom...
I mean, that you'd think, to be honest, that'd be the one advantage of a player like McLean, in the sense that if he's got such a willing work rate, he'd be willing to press all over the pitch.
Yeah.
But that was the annoying bit. You lose the ball, right? And immediately you want players to go chasing it down and try and cause a mistake. But instead, they just get into shape and try and stay compact. And you think, but we aren't playing well enough to defend that way. You know, you could have 8 players in the box and back the opposition to get their head on the ball.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we're playing. So defending that way does not make any sense whatsoever. If you want to play that way eventually, when you've got the right players, fair enough. But in the meantime, try and defend in a way that keeps the ball as far away from our goal as possible, which for me is playing by pressing for the front.
Well, like last night, Ashley Williams was chronic. You know, I mean, I just couldn't see anything about him last night that was good.
There's an irony in all this, because I'm criticising the defence in a way, but they must have done enough for Sheffield United to only score 1. You know, I've talked about missed open goals and all this sort of stuff, but they did enough, because, like, you know, there were times when they sort of blocked shots on the edge of the box. Yeah, I would call that basic defending. You know, that's like the minimum standard.
But they got 9 players in the box most of the time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know, that's why they kept the ball out.
Yeah, you know, it shouldn't have to be that hard. That's the annoying thing. You know, of course you need men back at times, but you need your centre-halves to be sort of heading balls out, and I just didn't see any of that. In fact, you also need a bit of composure at times, and the amount of times you see Bruno clearing a ball when you could at least take half a touch, or maybe look over your shoulder and see if there's an option. His first thought at every opportunity is clear, in my view, and sometimes you just need that added composure to sort of say, you know what, we're under the cosh here. If I can just play this ball well, I'll be able to get us forward again.
Yeah.
Well, instead of clearing it, you just end up giving it back to the opposition.
Now, talking about clearing, I've got to criticise Jack. I love Jack, don't get me wrong, but when he kicks that ball, he hasn't got a clue where he's kicking it. You know, he just whacks it and hopes for the best. Okay, most goalkeepers probably do that, but I'm sure that he could aim for a player instead of just mid-air and hope for the best.
Well, I think the one that really irked you the most, I remember he was taking a goal kick and he aimed it for Afobe, and I'm not getting this idea. Why are we playing to Afobe that way when are we 16 games into the season now, I think, or at least 16 games for us when you count the cups. And I've seen enough of Afobe just from the television to know that he doesn't like long balls aimed at him.
Yeah.
He's not that type of player. Maybe he is in the box, but when it comes to backs to goal, trying to hold it up, it doesn't suit him.
No.
Why are we doing it? You know, if you've got a player like that, you've got to try and play out from the back.
Yeah. I mean, he should be good. I mean, McLean is supposed to be a strong player. Kick it to him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is...
But you don't kick it to a forward anyway.
Well, this is the thing. If you're going to do a long goal kick, you need a striker who can actually win the ball. Has got the strength to hold it up. And for some reason, Afobe doesn't look like he's got it.
No.
He's a big muscular lad by the looks of it, but he doesn't seem to have the strength, and that is baffling me. But
well, I suppose it's something he's never had to do.
Maybe. I mean, if I remember his history right, he's played at Arsenal, Wolves, Bournemouth. They all like the ball at the feet. So, again, maybe it's just something he's never had to do before.
So I do think Jack has got to think different to where he places the ball.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement there.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we get on to Bristol?
Yeah, we've gone on for 20 minutes about our own deficiencies. How are the stats looking this time?
Right. Bristol City, they've won 5, they've drawn 4, and they've lost 3, which I think are really good stats, to be honest. They're in 13th, and when I saw that they were in 13th, I was quite surprised with the stats that I've just read to you. I thought maybe they'd be in 8th or something. That's how tight it is at the top. So, I mean, they're in 13th, we're in 17th, and it's still a way to catch them up, especially if we keep losing like we are doing and drawing. And their top scorer is Andreas Weimann. He's got 5 goals. That's in all competitions, not just the league. So he's doing quite well. And apart from him, there's nobody else really scoring more than one. It's individual scoring.
I think he's done a good job to replace Bobby Reid, who they sold to Cardiff. And I mean, I'm actually curious if Bobby is regretting that move, because even though he hasn't scored for Cardiff, I think he was sort of doing well enough at Bristol that I'd be questioning it if I was a player, saying, should I have waited for a better move? But maybe that's just me thinking about it.
Yeah.
But Andy Weimann, he's done fantastic, because he was sort of lost at Derby under Rowett, and he seems to have found his way again under Lee Johnson.
I mean, I'll be very, very honest. I don't know anything about Bristol City. I don't actually know much about the southern clubs, the south clubs. Like, I don't know much about Portsmouth and Plymouth and all those. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. It's just something that I've never got involved in.
I mean, I only follow Bristol because I must admit I like Lee Johnson. When Mark Hughes was sacked, him and Gary Rowett were top of my list. And the only reason I sort of went off Lee Johnson is he got the FL Cup semi-final. I thought, there's no way he's leaving us for that, with that on the horizon. So, yeah, I was a little surprised that no one's come in and tried to poach him since then. But I'll be honest, I've looked at the lineup they picked for that game in the EFL Cup semi-final, and they've sold a few players from there. I mean, we've talked about Aidan Flint, and we've just mentioned Bobby Reid, but there's quite a few more who've gone. I mean, Joe Bryan's gone to Fulham. There's I think his name was Magnuson, who's gone to I think it was a Russian club. So there are a few departures from that team that did so well last season. And they are still up there. I mean, granted, you're saying 13th, but at this stage of the season, 13th's like just a couple of points out of 6th and 5th. So, yeah.
Yeah, as I say, they're in 13th, but it's that close.
Yeah.
And they've won by some good scores, 4-0s and 3-1s. So the 4 goals are quite good. And they've only had 1 scored against them.
I mean, the other thing I'd just like to say is they've been doing all this without the first choice goalie, arguably, in Frank Fielding. I mean, I was surprised actually when I've just read that he's had viral meningitis recently. And he's just on the mend, as it were, but he'd had, I think it was a hip operation before that.
Well, wish him well anyway.
Yeah, so he could actually make his first appearance of the season, either against us or in midweek, whoever they're playing. But I'm going to say, I hope he recovers well, because I remember Rob Booth had meningitis, and he sort of brushed that off to come for a game against Reading, if I remember. But not a lot of people could do a Rob Booth there, so I'm glad Fielding's on the way back.
Yeah. Well, as I say, we're in 17th at the moment, but that could change tonight.
Well, yeah, I haven't done the numbers, but I think that's just because I don't really want to look where we could end up.
No.
You know, I don't know how low it could be.
I think we could go down to, say, 19th.
Mm.
And possibly 20th. Possibly. But, you know, fingers crossed, the teams below us don't have good games.
It's that old saying, are the three worst teams in the division? And right now I'd say there are, but the form table could change. I'm not necessarily, and that obviously means the league table. So you know, it all depends if Preston suddenly pick up, because they were in the playoff or near the playoffs last season. No, they were in the playoffs last season. So you know, for them to be bottom of the table or near thereabouts, I'm expecting them to start rising again.
Yeah, I mean, I've got relatives who are again season ticket holders for Preston, and you know, I was really pleased at how good they were last season. Mm-hmm. You know, and to be in the bottom half now
must be bad.
Yeah, it's a shame for them, but to be honest, I don't really care, because I'm devoted to Stoke and they're all I care about.
Well, finishing off with Stoke, what are your predictions?
1-0 Stoke.
I think I'm going to have to go for a 1-1 again. I'm just going to hope that we at least take the lead this time, even if it means we're sloppy and concede.
I'm going to go 1-0, but I'll bet it's a penalty.
Well, a Phobie could do with one. It'll be over a month since he scored by the time this game kicks off, so he needs a goal.
I mean, I'm hoping it's about 4-0, to be honest, just to get some goals. And, you know, to lighten your trips up. I mean, you've got a hell of a trip down there.
Yeah, anyone going Bristol, praise to you.
Yeah, you know, and I always wish for a win for you who are going down there.
You've certainly had enough bad results lately, so I hope you get another win like Norwich, even if it is like Norwich. But yeah, that wraps it up for this week. So thanks to Jan as always, and I'll be on the channel as always. So until next time, it's been Josh and Jan.
So ta-ta for now, folks, and have a good week.
See you everyone. Bye.
Bye.